What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional, man, and we are going to the book of John. We're in John chapter 13, verse 18. So if you are ready to dive in, then I hope you've read the scriptures. If not, man, go ahead and stop the tape, check it out, see what it has to say, come back, and we're going to answer 4 questions, man. What we have been talking about here lately is called the final discourse. It's what Jesus is saying to his disciples. We're kind of setting up for this moment where he is going to be able to speak and talk with his the 11. We're going to see later about the 12, but we're going to what he has to say to them as he leaves and as he is about to depart from this world for his death and his sacrifice on the cross, man. And we've seen some powerful things that he's shown us, and one of those things is the foot washing that Jesus has done, and how it is a picture of who he is in a multitude of ways. But now we're going to transition into the part that is so sad, man, so broken. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and read John chapter 13, verse 18. And today is actually going to be like a little pause on kind of all the stuff that's going on. And we're going to take a look at the nature of scripture and messianic prophecies and what's called types. So check it out. See if you haven't read it yet, go ahead and read it, come back, and we'll answer these questions, man. If you've already read it, we're going to answer the question, man. What's the first thing? What's going on? What's happening? Well, Jesus says that in order for scripture to be fulfilled, this thing is going to happen. And so what thing is that's going to happen is it says that his enemy is going to rise up against him. And he's quoting a psalm in which David is speaking about his enemies that are attacking him. And then not only that, but his friend, a person who was seated at his table, someone he cares about and that cares for him, we thought, turns on him. And so David is distraught. And Jesus says that in the same way, this is a fulfilling of scripture for him, as we're about to see Judas that is going to betray Jesus. And so how is this a prophecy fulfilled? Because in that psalm, David actually says, "Forgive me of my sins, cleanse me of my sins," and we know that Jesus has never sinned. So, how is this a prophecy? How does this match up, or how does this align with who Jesus is? Well, first off, there's things called prophecies or messianic psalms, in which the whole thing is speaking about Christ and his messiahship, his kingship. But this one is not the case. A lot of times when we see these things, it is what is called a type. And it is because David, in his life, in the way that he lives, is a picture of who Christ is, that God is moving in him in such a way that he makes that David represents Christ in a way. And so we see that with other people too as well. We have Abraham, who is a type of Christ. And we have Melchizedek, who is a type of Christ. And you read those things if you check through Hebrews. We may go through Hebrews sometimes. That's a good book. But in that book, it also gives these types of who Christ is. As they live their lives, they represent Jesus in some sort of way. And so that is kind of what we're seeing here when Jesus proclaims these things. And so why is it important for us to do? So what do types reveal about God? Or what does this necessary thing reveal about God? Well, what it does is it tells us that we can see the character of God. We can see his actions and how he is going to carry out his purposes through the lives of others. We have Abraham as a type. We have David as a type. We have Jacob as a type. We have Joseph as a type. And when we went through Genesis, we've seen a lot of that. We saw Joseph in the life that he lives was kind of a type of Jesus. And so I think it's important for us to see as we read the scriptures that we should look for these types and that we should recognize them, because they're going to help us And this is what we should do as man, is that we should recognize these types, because they're going to help us to understand scripture that much more. It's going to help us to understand Jesus that much more. It's going to help us to understand the character and the nature of God, how he works and what he's doing in the world that much more. You remember when we talked kind of about genres and how we read scripture according to the literary genre it's in, whether it's a narrative or whether it's a, a poem, or whether it is a letter or anything like that. It's because understanding those things helps us to be able to read through the scriptures more accurately. And so when we look and check out and understand when a type is being shown or lived out, then it helps us to understand Jesus just that much more. So how do we apply these truths to our lives? Well, read the scriptures. Read the scriptures. See what it has to say, and then using these literary tools, um, let it help you to move through the passages with better understanding of what they're trying to say to you and what God is trying to speak to you through them. I hope this little short lesson on that helps out as we jump right back into what's going down in the final discourse, as Jesus continues to say what he's going to do and how he's going to do it in this world today. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.